Hey everybody, welcome back to the Muscle Intelligence Podcast. I'm your host, Ben Pakulski. And in today's episode, I want to try to convince you that anything and everything you've ever wanted in life is already possible for you if you start to understand the clarity, the capability, and the commitment. Get clear on the mission, increase your capability, and then go all in. And in this podcast, I want to show you the map. I have such an undying belief in human potential. I believe in people. People, when they commit to any mission, are capable of unbelievable things, truly unbelievable things. I see it happening day in, day out in my life, in my business, with my clients, with my friends. And it just truly blows my mind to see what humans are capable of when they commit. When they go into doing something that they believe in and they increase their capacity / capability, which you could say ultimately is interchangeable, the things you can do with yourself in your life will blow your mind. A good example right now in front of me is my father. So many of you know 6 months ago, my mom died. And for the last 18 months, I literally felt like I'd lost my dad. And this podcast isn't going to be about my dad, but I literally felt like I lost my dad. He was a shell of the man that I remember. He was afraid. He wouldn't leave his house. He created this chair, this bubble of comfort that he didn't even know he was in. He's like, he was afraid. So he would walk outside and he would get dizzy. So he's like, I don't want to go there. I don't want to hurt myself. I don't want to fall. I don't want to be ashamed of myself. I don't want to be afraid. I don't want to be embarrassed. So he literally confined himself to this bubble that became this like circle of comfort for him. So everything outside of this bubble was fear. And so he became the shell of a man that I remembered. And I remember him being this super capable, badass man who would just go and do shit. I'm like, holy, I didn't realize my dad could do that. That's awesome. And then we all sort of paint this picture of our dad as being this superhero, and whether or not he was, who knows, but he was a super capable guy, and he was strong and he was able and never complained. In the last 18 months, he just became the shell of a man. And I watched him deteriorate, and he didn't even notice he was in it. And then since my mom's passing, really in the last 90 days, he's taken control of his life. He's changed his nutrition. He's started to train with a trainer 5 days a week. And last night he said something to me that he said in passing he didn't even know. He goes, I can do anything. And 3 months ago, he wouldn't even get out of his chair. And I was like, what happened? I'll tell you what happened. He committed to increasing his capacity. He doesn't even know he's doing it. He still doesn't know he's doing it. But by working with a trainer who's intentionally building his capacity, he completely changed the trajectory of the rest of his life. I have no idea how long my dad's going to live. I hope it's another 50 years. But either way, the quality of his life has changed. And as I said, I don't want to make this podcast about my dad. What I want to make it about is you and your capability to do whatever the fuck you want in life. If you commit and you stop with the bullshit excuses that you make around like, I don't want to do that. Here's what I recognize. And the question I want you to ask yourself today and every day, what's the hardest thing you did today? Serious question. What's the hardest thing you did? Most of you will say some version of like, I don't know. I went to work and did the stuff I wanted to do. I didn't need to do at work. And, I worked really hard at work. Psychological challenges. Most of you would say the hardest thing you did in a day was some version of psychological challenge, meaning, gosh, there was some stress at work and I overcame that and I was mentally resilient. Awesome. What was the physically hardest thing you did today? And most people would say, I'm not sure. Maybe I went for a walk or, maybe I did a workout. And the answer is the reason that the walls are closing in around you every day is because you do nothing actually difficult. The reason that things like jujitsu are exploding and cold plungers are exploding and saunas are exploding is because it's hard. And people, when they start to recognize that they're doing something difficult, what they don't always recognize, some people do, but they don't always recognize is they're building mental resilience. They're building mental capacity. You go from fragile to anti-fragile. And here's the catch, gentlemen, is you don't always realize or recognize when you're sort of getting soft, when you're intentionally choosing comfort. The world is wonderful. Our world is incredible. And you're just getting soft because the world around you, it's easy to have the exact food you want. It's easy to have really comfortable, wonderful house, really comfortable, wonderful family. And the only challenges we get generally are psychological around the uncertainty of our future, the uncertainty of our business, maybe the uncertainty of our family. Psychological stress builds. And when psychological stress hits a certain capacity, you break. You break. And many guys have breakdowns. They reach for alcohol, they reach for food. And here's the catch. Here's the win. When you build up your physical capability, you build up your resilience to stress, all types of stress. So the ability to run a mile or climb a mountain or lift 600 pounds in a deadlift are all versions of physical capability that build resilience into the system. In this podcast, I want to walk you through the path to building resilience in your system. I want to make this very practical and tangible, not super high level and theoretical. I want to take a quick break from this podcast to let you know that the Muscle Intelligence Coaching is closing. Gentlemen, men over 40 for the last 5 years have been working with us to become the best version of themselves, not only physically, but also mentally, energetically, and be more resilient to stress. And we're actually going to close the doors at the end of 2025 and shift to a cohort-only onboarding, which means we're only going to open the doors once a year, bring in a specific number of men that are ultimately committed to being the best version of themselves and going all in 2026. And if you're interested in working with us now for the entire 2026 season, putting together the ideal operating system for you, none of this is canned. None of this is preordained. We're going to test. We're going to assess. You're going to go through our two-part assessment. That's extremely extensive. And ultimately identify the things that are limiting you right now and putting together the best training protocol, the best nutrition protocol, the best supplement protocol for your genetics, for your lifestyle, and your goals. If you're someone who wants to work with us, head over to muscleintelligence.com/apply. And you can apply to be on the 2026 cohort. Space is incredibly limited. We want to close our doors in early December so we can start sharply in January. Gentlemen, if you're ready to rock and work with me and the team, Muscle Intelligence, to become the best version of yourself in 2026, head over to muscleintelligence.com/apply. Let's say my dad starts from ground zero, who's like, man, his level of resilience is effectively zero. I literally thought I'd lost my dad forever. I was like, I don't know who this man is. He won't do anything. He's like, I can't. And looking back on it, he was just afraid. You're not there. I'm going to guess you're not at the level where my dad is. Great. But maybe you're noticing yourself not doing some of the things you used to be doing. Or maybe you're just not avoiding them, but they're just not there, not part of your life anymore. I just don't do hard things anymore because, I've built some really great comforts into my life. Congratulations. Like, building wealth is wonderful. Building wealth and security is an absolute gift. But here's the catch. As a man who's built security and wealth into his life and comfort into his life, that stuff encroaches on you and will literally take away your manhood faster than anything. I was talking to a friend just this past weekend, and he said, I'm having a hard time with my little brother. I'm like, what's the hard time? He goes, he doesn't know what he wants to do. I go, uh-huh. And he goes, he's just, he's 19, whatever, 18, 19 years old, doesn't know what he wants to do. I'm like, how could he know what he wants to do? He has no idea what he's capable of. He's never been exposed to something hard in his life. And this is the same reality that so many grown men are experiencing, that you just don't even know what you're capable of. So how can you set a goal if you're like, I'm not really sure if I'm going to achieve it? I don't know if I'm capable. My body might not be able to do it. My mind might not be able to do it. And I might fail. And I don't want to fail because I'm going to look stupid. I'm going to be embarrassed to my family. I'm going to be embarrassed to my friends. So let me just not set a goal. So this young man, and it could be an older man, it could be you, you're going to start avoiding pursuing goals that are worthwhile because you don't want to fail. Gentlemen, welcome failure. Welcome looking like an idiot. In my mind, the only person that looks like an idiot is the man who never starts. I encourage people to set massive, outlandish, big, hairy, audacious goals. Why? Because it forces you to become something greater than you are. And if you want to become something greater than you are, there's only 4 areas of your life that you must address. This is what I call the 4 areas of resiliency. So we have 4 areas of fragility, and therefore the opposite of that is 4 areas of resilience, right? So the goal is to be anti-fragile. right? Fragile is someone who ultimately crushes and crumbles under pressure. I don't want you to be fragile. I don't want to be fragile. My goal is to be the most badass motherfucker I can so that I feel capable and confident when shit happens, because it's going to. The future is uncertain. I'm just afraid of the future as everyone, because we don't know what the future holds. Is the economy going to collapse? Is artificial intelligence going to take everyone's job? The answer is maybe. I have no idea, and you don't either. No one does. So here's what you must do from today into 2026 and beyond. You must be prepared. You must go all in on yourself so you can be ready for your family, so you can be ready for your mission. If you don't go all in on yourself, meaning train your mind, train your body, intentionally do hard shit, intentionally move in the direction of your goals. Now, I have to asterisk this. With mindlessly doing hard stuff is not the goal. It's not going to necessarily progress you where you want to go. It can be useful, but it's so much more useful to set a goal way out in the future that's way beyond what you think you're capable of. Like, hey, we're going to go do this marathon, or we're going to go do this high rocks, or we're going to climb this mountain, or we're going to go do this 600-pound deadlift or a 300-pound deadlift. I suggest we set physical targets for you and for me and move in the direction of those physical targets. So many men, and maybe it's you, are playing defense. They're saying, I just don't want to get worse. And I understand. Right? The last 4 years of my life have been the hardest I've ever undergone. And I found myself playing defense. I'm like, I just don't want to get worse. I'm just sort of holding on to what I've got. And I don't want to get worse because I'm at my capacity. I'm like, I can't take on anymore, or I'm afraid I'm going to crumble. So what do? Do you avoid the hard things, or do you go, hold on, if I'm at my capacity, maybe I need to do some things to build capacity? Instead of avoiding the things that are hard and going, I can't do anymore. Well, what if we intentionally could build capacity so that I'm less fragile, right? If I'm about to crumble under the weight of my life, under my current existence, well, I need to build capacity. And so what if you got clear on what it is you want to do, you increased your capability by building capacity, and you committed to whatever the hell it is you want your future to look like? Gentlemen, the path is there for you. The path is there for anybody, no matter where you're starting. And listen, it might be breadcrumbs today. It might be breadcrumbs of like, man, I don't have all the time in the world, but you have some time. And so here's where we start, where I start with everybody. I just took on a new client. He's awesome. And the first thing I do with everybody is we're going to do a 16-hour audit. I'm like, let's audit your time. Let's see how you're actually investing your time. And here's why that matters. So many guys say they're busy, and maybe they're busy, but are they effective? Right? Do your inputs match your outputs? Which means, are you living in alignment with who you believe you are or who you believe you want to be? And if you're not, you're always going to feel like a failure. You're always going to feel inauthentic. You're always going to feel like an imposter. So let's first assess your time. And sometimes there's real barriers, right? Sometimes there's real challenges standing in your way of like, and I can't do those things. Like, I don't have the time. I don't have the money. I don't have the physical ability. Okay, great. Well, let's identify those things. And let's actually put a plan in place to change it. If you don't have the money, if you don't have the time, if you don't have the physical ability, it's not going to fucking change on its own. Have someone in your life who's willing to talk to you like an honest friend, someone who can hold the mirror to your face and tell you the truth. If you don't have someone in your life who can do that for you, find them. It's very hard to be honest and hold the mirror to those places you don't really want to see. Find them, hire them, surround yourself with them. Be honest, but you got to identify the limiters, right? Is the limiter your money? Well, great. You can change that. Do you know that? Like, does everyone recognize that? Great. You make 50 grand a year, 100 grand a year, 200, whatever. Like, great. Well, how do we make more? How do we make money in the times when you're not working? How do we ask for more money at work? How do we provide more value? How do we become AI empowered? How do we create a side business? How do we acquire a business? How do we acquire equity in a business? Like, these are all things we can fix. So I'm going to do a podcast soon on what I believe are the 4 master skills every man must manage, and every man must, master. And every man must teach their children, both boys and girls. You must teach your kids the 4 master skills. What are the 4 master skills? I've mentioned these before, but I've never done a podcast on it. The 4 master skills, every man must master his body. Gentlemen, this is your instrument, man. You're either an old rusted Chevy or you're a fighter pilot, right? You're a fighter jet. You choose, man. Like, is your body empowering you to do whatever you want in this world and live life like an adventure? Or is it limiting you, driving around like an old jalopy and you can't really do the shit you want to do? I can't keep up. It's your choice. Now, I acknowledge some people are limited. We all have some limitations, but you can make the most of what you got. So number 1, master skill, master your body. Number 2, you master your money. You must master your finances. Nobody taught me this shit until I was in my late 30s. Like, hey man, do you know you can like make money doing this and this and this and this? And you're like, oh. Right. And so sometimes we have some distorted views around money and wealth and taxes and whatever. Many of us have distorted views. Most of them are complete horseshit that can be rewritten if you have a new perspective. Read a book, hire a mentor, join a community. I highly suggest you join the Lifestyle Investor community. A friend of mine, Justin Donald, has this incredible community, and he's just an amazing, amazing man. He's an altruistic guy who is incredibly financially free, who just wants to help people succeed. So if you're someone out there who's sort of confused on what to do for your wealth, join the Lifestyle Investor. I'm not financially incentivized to talk about that. Just join a community. Master your body, master your money. Number 3, master your communication. Communication comes in many forms, doesn't it? Comes in the form of speaking, which, by the way, when I started this, I called myself a motor moron. Like, I didn't have control of my verbal fluency. I couldn't even muster a sentence. When I started the podcast, the Muscle Intelligence podcast in 2013, go all the way back to and watch the Muscle Expert podcast, 2013. The reason I started, maybe I had an affinity for pain and self-abuse, but I knew I couldn't hold a conversation. I knew I couldn't ask an effective question. I knew I couldn't hold a thought while listening to somebody else while formulating a question. I couldn't do any of that. I was completely incapable. And what I knew was if I committed for long enough, I would be capable. I just had an undying belief in the human potential. I believed in myself. So I figured it out. Fast forward 12 years, and I'm not certainly perfect, but now at least I can hold a conversation. I can look somebody in the eyes and discuss something with them. I can hear, I can listen, I can receive, I can learn, I can formulate intelligent questions. I can chunk up and chunk down, and I've got a system and a strategy now to help me communicate more effectively, both verbally and written form, so that I can ultimately get the outcomes or at least lead a conversation that I'm trying to lead. For example, I would put myself in the category of an incredibly effective coach. Now, was I 12 years ago when I started this? Fuck no. Why? Why am I an effective coach? Because I'm a really good listener. And I've got a really good idea of understanding where people are telling, call it half-truths, or where they're lying to themselves or where they're lying to me, and ultimately helping them come to the conclusion on their own by asking really, really curated questions. And I'm going to move on from there. But master skill number 4 is master your emotions. This is going to blow your mind when it comes to emotions. Most people have no idea what emotions are. Emotions are usually these mental stories we have that other people have put there that are ultimately defining an internal state. What is an actual emotion? Emotion is an internal neck down response to some external event, right? So I've perceived an event. Let's say something stressful happens. I get this rush of emotions in my body, which is generally a rush of some type of hormone, right? Some type of neurotransmitter hormone that happens in my body. I get this like physical response that someone else tells me means something. Hey, you feel anxious. Hey, you feel overwhelmed. Hey, you feel depressed, whatever it is. So we have, depression's a different category. I shouldn't put depression there, I apologize. But maybe it's fear, anger, frustration, any of these really strong emotions. It's a neck down response that gets interpreted as a secondary response from our brain. And we say, oh, I'm feeling this term that was someone else created. That is not necessarily true. So the second piece is your perception of the internal response. So I have this overwhelming response in my body, and everyone has a different response, by the way. It's super important to know this. Some people have a really big, overwhelming response, and some people have an itty-bitty small response, and you can't judge someone's emotions because you don't know what it is. Their perception of this emote is where we all can control it. So I can feel a really big fear response. I can feel a really big anxiety response. I can feel a really big frustration response and not respond intellectually to that physical response. So you have to uncouple those things. That's emotional mastery. Like it's the feel the fear and do it anyways. That's the uncoupling of the physical response from the mental response. And you must, certainly as a man, and I don't want to speak for women, but as a man, I believe you must learn to uncouple your emotions because every stupid decision you make in your life is a result of bad emotions or bad control of your emotions. If you're making a bad investment response, a bad relationship response or decision, a bad life decision, it's almost always not from logic and information. It's based on emotion. So gentlemen, and I'm not saying to be emotionless. We can't be emotionless. I want you to be super in tune with your emotions, but not a victim to your emotions. Like, yeah, I'm the most emotional guy in the world. Like I almost had a breakdown this morning. Won't share the details, but I was like, man, I'm having a really fucking hard day. And I changed my physical state by going to the gym, training, doing some cardio, doing some heavy lifting. And now I go from feeling like I want to feel sorry for myself to feeling like I'm super inspired to change my life, to change my current circumstance, and ultimately help you change yours. Because we're all going to go through stages of life that are challenging. So gentlemen, to reiterate the 4 master skills that we all must learn: master your body, master your money, master your communication, and master your emotions. Teach yourself, teach your kids. If your kids are anywhere between the ages of 5 and 15, maybe 5 and 25, and they don't already know the 4 master skills, please teach them. Do it together. Learn it together. Master your body. What does it mean to master your body? How many of you can tell me that, like when I have an emotional response, I know what it is? Answer, probably none. Unless you're on a really deep meditation or yoga spiritual journey, you probably don't understand any of it. And maybe you've tuned out by now. But if you're someone who's truly committed to being the best version of yourself from this day forward, you must master your body because your body is the linchpin. Your body is the linchpin. So many of you lack energy. Many of you lack stress resilience. You're fragile. Many of you lack a strong mindset. And if you lack any of those, the way through is by training your body. Your body is always there, just like your breath is always there. We must use our breath as the gateway to understand what our nervous system is doing. So if I want to improve my resilience to stress, my mental capacity, my energy capacity, train the body. Again, I'm a body guy, so I'm always going to come back to the body. There may be a mindset coach out there who goes, no, you got to change your mindset first. And they could be right. They could have an argument. I'd love to have them on and have a discussion. But I believe if you can just take control of your body, whatever that means for you. I've got a professional race car driver I'm training right now. Kid aspiring to be a professional race car driver. And so a lot of his stuff is going to be like, we need to train your upper body because it's a lot of upper body strength, a lot of upper body endurance, a lot of upper body resilience and mental resilience so that when you start to get tired, your arms don't get loose, your hands don't get weak, the vibration of the car is not making your hands not work, your mind's not losing focus as you get deep in the race. Like we got to train that stuff. But his body is going to be the thing that breaks down. Your mind might break down, certainly, but if we can keep his body strong, then his mind will hopefully also come along for the ride, right? So again, I believe that we can train these things in unison, but the body is going to be the leader. It's going to be the Trojan horse. So coming back to what I spoke about in the beginning, let's tie this up together. So if you're someone who wants to get clear on your goals, increase your capability, and commit to being the best version of yourself moving forward, building resilience into the system starts with a small number of things. First, remove the unnecessary burden to your body that's ultimately breaking you down. So a simple way to understand how your nervous system works is and I was saying this to my dad last night, there's a gas pedal and there's a brake. Okay. And if your gas pedal is always foot to the floor, revving your engine all the way up, your body's going to eventually start to lose signal. It's going to feel like it's burning out, right? Your gas pedal is always to the floor. Even if you're like, gosh, I'm sleeping okay, your heart rate's up, your adrenaline's pumping, your cortisol is revving, your body fat's accumulating, your glucose is elevated. Your body's going to eventually lose that signal, right? Imagine just constantly redlining your car. Eventually the car goes, well, man, I can't go any faster. This is all I got. So the first thing I suggest you do is identify those burdens that are ultimately keeping your gas pedal to the floor, your accelerator to the floor constantly, and learn to take your foot off the gas pedal on purpose. Sometimes in the day. It doesn't have to be always, because I want you to be able to put that gas pedal all the way to the floor, that accelerator to the floor. You need to be able to do that, right? I need you to do it in the gym. I need you to do it when you're training. I need you to do it when you need to go for a run or whatever. But you can't live there. So let's train your body's ability first to remove the burden. And what does that look like? Well, first, maybe it's too much caffeine. Maybe it's pre-workouts. Maybe it's alcohol. Maybe it's crappy food. All of those things are going to have your body going, gas pedal down. Why? Because there's stress. They're a burden to the body. There's some inflammatory burden that are ultimately causing some distress in the body. Not always useful. Sometimes useful, not always useful. Once we remove those constant stress burdens from the body, now the body, gosh, you're like, man, I don't feel good all the time. I don't feel like, because what you don't recognize is you're often using those tools as to make you feel different, to change your state. So now we have to start looking for different strategies. So what are the first strategies we do? We heal your gut. First thing we do is we have to make sure we heal your gut, because if you've been drinking alcohol, taking pharmaceuticals, or eating crappy food, your gut's going to be destroyed. Heal your gut. Second, build your aerobic fitness. Ramp up your aerobic capacity. People say, should I be doing cardio, Ben, or should I not be doing cardio? If you're even asking the question, the answer is yes. Here's why. Cardio is a really useful tool until it's not. If you have a great aerobic fitness, you don't need to make it any better. There's a certain point where it's of diminishing returns. But if you have a low aerobic fitness or low VO2 max, then you must bring it up. Whether your goal is performance, recovery, stress resilience, or longevity, a high VO2 max is going to be extremely useful for recovery, for allowing you to perform better, for ultimately allowing you to have the energy capacity to perform at your best. That's another really important lever. So heal your gut, improve your aerobic capacity. Third, start doing something hard every day. Hard doesn't mean mentally hard. It can be, but let's do something physically challenging. And what does that mean? Well, maybe let's go for a bike ride. Let's go for a run. Let's do a heavy lift. Let's make sure your heart rate hits its peak heart rate, your highest heart rate, at least 3 times a week. I want you to hit max heart rate, 220 minus your age, provided you've got relatively decent heart health, at least 3 times a week. I want you to do 60 minutes of aerobic fitness, aerobic work, at least twice a week. And if you're trying to get better, 3 times a week. I know it's a lot, but you don't have to do this forever. You have to do it while you're getting better. And those can be your hard things. So you're checking boxes, right? You're removing the burden, you're improving your cardiovascular health, and ultimately you're doing something hard. And the workouts can be the hard things. So you're checking multiple boxes at once. And 3, I want you to nourish your body like you're someone that you care about. So how would you tell your kids or your best friend how to nourish their body? Nourish your body with high quality foods, because foods are a really important signal. I'm not dogmatic about nutrition for most people, but I think if you actually care about your body, you care about your mind, and you care about the outcome you're trying to achieve, then the food that goes in just becomes this default of like, man, I don't want to put crappy food in because I feel like shit when I eat it. I just want to eat great foods all the time. And so as far as foods, we want to eat about your body weight in grams of protein every day. But here's the catch. If you have poor digestion from alcohol and stress and pharmaceuticals and bad food, 200 grams of protein for an average 200-pound guy is going to feel like an enormous amount because your body doesn't break it down. So you got to build up that gut health first. That's why I said at the top, we got to improve your gut health. So hopefully this is all starting to make sense. Hopefully this starting to put together a blueprint for you on like, hey, identify the goal. Let's get clear on the goal. Build my capability. Capability means what? Ultimately, your ability to not be fragile. And if you commit, you can do anything. And so, gents, I hope this has been helpful. I hope I didn't take too many tangents that took you guys off track. Again, I've done very similar podcasts to this in the past where I just want you to know that there's someone out there who believes in you, There's someone out there who knows you're capable, who believes in your capability as a human, and can show you the path to get there. Remember, the mission, the map, and the mentor. So if you ever struggle with, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do, create a mission, identify the map or create the map, and then find a mentor. And you can do anything, right? My passion in life is helping people express their highest level of capability. It's so unbelievably awesome to watch somebody thriving, truly thriving. It's fucking awesome. So when I watch professional sports, and I watch it from time to time, I couldn't care less about a team. Who's your favorite team? Don't care. What's your favorite sport? Don't really care. Here's what I love. Athletes. People who are just thriving. That lights me up. When I watch a guy who's at the best of it best and like truly committed to his craft, there's something unbelievably magnetic for me in that. Like you watch Michael Jordan, you watch Kobe Bryant, you watch Dorian Yates, you watch these guys who are truly masters of their craft. They're all in on this thing. And you watch them just thriving. You're like, I want that secret sauce, right? You know, and people hate Elon. Elon's that guy, man. I don't care why you hate him. I've never seen anything that would make me hate him, ever. I love the guy. I think he's incredible for the race, for humanity. I mean, dude, take your politics wherever you want to take your politics. Just don't bring it here. I think he's an incredible leader. I was like, he doesn't need all that money. Doesn't matter. Reward the guy for his work. Hopefully this was helpful. One of the biggest action items you can do right now is commit to creating space in your life for you. I think one of the challenges I see a lot of guys have is they get so busy putting everything else first, putting your family first, putting your business first, and you become third, fourth, fifth wheel. And then eventually you recognize like, shit, I'm a fraction of the man. I'm a shell of the man. I can't do it anymore. Yeah, of course, because it's not a priority. You got to shift it. And it could start with 10 minutes a day or it could start with 30 minutes a day. But if you do the math on like an hour a day, if there's 168 hours in a week and you give it an hour a day, pretty sure most people can find that. Listen, I don't know your life. Maybe you can't. But most people can find that if they're really committed. And what you recognize is you stop playing a game of more and you start playing a game of effectiveness and efficiency. Like as a coach, people are like, Ben, I don't know that I can handle taking you on because there's more in my life. I'm like, hold on. Who says I'm going to put more on your plate? In fact, I'm going to take more off your plate. I'm taking everything you'll give me. I'm like, no, don't do that. Do this. I'm going to try to take away as many things as I can. And the things we do put in, we're going to make them maximally effective. The food you eat, maximally effective. The supplements you take, maximally effective. The training you do, maximally effective. For you right now, we're going to address your limiters, identify the leverage, and give you only the linchpin, the most impactful thing for you right now. Gentlemen, ladies, thanks for being here. I appreciate you guys being regular listeners of the Muscle Intelligence Podcast. If this podcast was useful for you, please go ahead and leave us up to a 5-star review on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and anywhere incredible podcasts are listened to and downloaded. And share this podcast with at least one person you know and love who's on a mission to be the best version of themselves, to go all in on them, and ultimately people who are going to support you. One of the most important things you can do to protect your future is create a community of high performers. Create a community of like-minded people who are all in on themselves, who value the same things as you and are willing to go all in on themselves, who can support you and ultimately can hold the mirror to you. If you're interested in working with us directly in 2026, we're actually going to be closing the doors for Muscle Intelligence Coaching for 2026 in early December. To take action now, we're going to fill our entire roster for 2026, cohort-based onboarding this year. So we're going to have our entire roster full before Christmas. We're going to do all of our testing in December so that we can put together 12-month protocols for all of our guys so you guys can go all in on yourselves in 2026. I would love to see you on the inside of the Muscle Intelligence community. If you're someone who's interested and feels like this is an important message that resonates with you, we're just here to support. And, love to see you guys there. Have an amazing day. See you over at muscleintelligence.com, on Instagram, or on YouTube. Don't forget to leave us a comment. Talk to you soon. Have a great day.